We're going to run some independent t-tests in SPSS, but first of all I'm going to give you a little bit of background information about what an independent t-test is, the variables you need, and a little bit about research hypotheses, questions, and one- and two-tailed tests. An independent t-test tells you whether the mean for one group on a dependent variable is different from the mean for another group on the same dependent variable. For example, is there a difference in salary for males and salary for females? The null hypothesis for an independent t-test is that the first mean is equal to the second. Now, in independent t-tests, we have one- and two-tailed tests. The alternate for the one-tailed test is that the mean for one group is higher than the mean for the other group. And the research question is the mean for the first group higher than the mean for the second group? We also have two-tailed tests, and the alternate hypothesis for the two-tailed test is that the mean for the first group is not equal to the mean for the second group. And the research question is simply, is there a difference between the first mean and the second mean? Okay, in this example, I have two examples here. The first example, the dependent variable will be hours spent cleaning house per week, and the independent variable is gender, coded 1 for males and 2 for females. In the second example, the dependent variable is home life satisfaction, and this is measured on a 10-point scale. And the independent variable is gender again, and we're going to use the alpha of 0.05. So the two research questions are, the first research question is a one-tailed question. Are the hours spent cleaning house per week higher for females than for males? And the second research question is there a difference in home life satisfaction between males and females? And that's a two-tailed question. Okay, so we're going to go into the SPSS file here. And here's my SPSS file. I have my variables gender, coded 1 and 2, home life satisfaction, and hours spent cleaning house per week. So the first thing I'm going to do is to click on Analyze, and I get this menu. So I'm going to drag down to Compare Means, over and across to Independent Samples t-test. And when I release, I get a box that looks like this. So what I want to do here is I want to take my first dependent variable, hours spent cleaning house per week. I want to highlight it, and I want to move it to this box labeled Test Variables, and I can do that by clicking in this arrow. Notice that it's pointing toward the box where I want to move my variable, so I'll click on that, it moves it. Now, if for some reason you move the wrong variable, you don't need to worry about it, you just need to highlight it. And notice the arrow is pointing the other way, so you can move it back and forth. But this is where I want hours cleaning house per week. So now I'm going to click on Gender, and I want to move it to this grouping variable box. And notice before I do it, this Define Groups box here is kind of grayed out. But when I click on the arrow, it prompts me to define what my groups are. So I'm going to click on Define Groups. And my first group is males, coded 1. So I'm going to type a 1 in this box. My second group is coded 2 for females. So I'll type in a 2 here. Notice I can click on Continue Now. And then I'll click on OK. And then I get my output where it tells me that the males clean house, their mean is 2 hours, 2.53 hours. And the females, their mean is 4.20, so their mean is higher. And it also gives me my t-test results here, which we'll talk about later. So I'm going to go back here. I want to include my second group, so I'm going to go back to Analyze, Compare Means, and down to Independent Samples t-test. And my information is still going to be here within a session unless I move it. So I'm going to click on Home Life Satisfaction, and I'm going to click on my arrow again. And then my gender variable has the coding already in it, so I'm simply going to click on OK. And now I get the means, standard deviation, and sample sizes for both of my dependent variables for both levels. And I also get my independent samples t-test. So I have copied this output into the Word document and color-coded it. So you might find it a little easier to look at there. So we're going to go back to the Word file. And let's go down past the instructions. Here's the results section, which explains how to write it up, gives an example. And here's the output that I've copied over. Again, here's the mean, standard deviations, and sample sizes. And here's the t-test. So the first thing we want to do is we want to create a table for these descriptive statistics. Remember, on hours cleaning house, the mean for males was 2.53 hours, and for females it was 4.20 hours. So we're simply going to take that information and put it in this table. These are mean, standard deviations, and sample sizes for hours spent cleaning house per week and home life satisfaction by gender. So here are my two variables, hours cleaning house and home life satisfaction, my levels, males and females. And I'm going to put my means here, 2.53 for males and 4.20 for females. And I think plugging the rest of it in is pretty self-explanatory. So let's go to the t-test results. Here are the t-test results. Now notice there's some information going across for hours cleaning house per week and also for home life satisfaction. And within each of these sections we have two rows. One is labeled equal variances assumed and the other is labeled equal variances not assumed. So we're going to use the equal variance assumed information, and we're going to report the t, the degrees of freedom, and the significance level. Now remember that when we were starting to analyze hours cleaning house per week, we said that the research question was a one-tailed question. Do females clean house more hours per week than males? So since that's a one-tailed question, we need to compare it to a one-tailed test, but SPSS only gives us a two-tailed value. So what we need to do is to take this significance level, 0.001, and divide it in half. So 0.001 divided by 2, which I've explained here, we're going to take 0.001 and divide it in half, divided by 2. And this is 0.0005. So now we take this value and we're going to compare it to our significance level of 0.05, which is considerably less than that. So that means that we have a significant difference. So let's go down to our output again. For this significant difference, the t was a minus 3.474. Degrees of freedom are 183. And again, we have this new one-tailed significance level of 0.0005. So let's go back up and see how to report it. So we're going to say there is a significant difference. T with 183 degrees of freedom is equal to a minus 3.47. I've rounded to 2 decimal places here. And our probability is equal to 0.0005. In mean hours spent cleaning house per week between males with a mean of 2.53 and females with a mean of 4.20, which is definitely higher. So when you have a significant difference, you need to explain a little bit about the difference between the means. So we're simply going to say, with females spending significantly more time cleaning than males. So we know that the males at about 2.5 hours of cleaning house per week clean a lot less than females at over 4 hours. Let's see what happens with home life satisfaction. Now, if you remember that our research question for home life satisfaction was a two-tailed test, we didn't specify which group would be higher or lower. So let's go back and look at our output. For home life satisfaction, our t is equal to 0.279. Our degrees of freedom are 192. And our probability level, remember this is a two-tail level. Because we did a two-tail test, we don't have to change it. So this probability is 0.781. So now we're going to compare 0.781 to our alpha of 0.05. and it's greater than 0.05, so we're going to say there's no significant difference. So there is no significant difference. T with 192 degrees of freedom is equal to 0.28. I've rounded here. Our probability is equal to 0.78. I've also rounded here. In mean home life satisfaction between males, their mean is 8.13, and females, their mean is 8.05. So when you look at these two means, you can see that they're really a very slight difference. These means are really not very far apart at all. So our outcome of no significant difference really does make sense. I want to include my second variable.